It's day whatever into the shutdown. I'm stuck with nothing to do but read and write and talk about games. Granted, I'm good at all that, but still, I'm running out of these reviews, so time to challenge myself. The previous weeks, I've done single adventures and converted them into Mystara, 2 at a time. This time, I'm converting Tales of the Yawning Portal and Ghosts of Saltmarsh into this Mystara setting. That's 18 adventures in a single sitting. Am I crazy? No, I'm just bored. I'm Mr. Welch, welcome to Mystara, and let's do the compilations. All the compilations. A few caveats before I dive headfirst into this review. First off, there's going to be spoilers. Be warned, not every adventure gets an actual review. Not every module needs to be converted. I'll address the reason why I'm skipping a module, because maybe it's not converting because the rewrite would alter the module too much, or because the module doesn't need conversion in the first place. These are mostly older modules. Many of them were written during the period when Mystara was still in print. You just have to remove the Faerun influences that permeate almost everything 5th edition, even if the module is set in another land in its own history. Because Faerun spreads across every setting, it never stops. It's the kudzu of Dungeons & Dragons. Picking up Yawning Portal first, you get Sunless Citadel, a 3rd edition module that is one of the better introductory modules in that edition. It is technically a Greyhawk module, as one of the characters worships Pelor, but that's the only real sign that the module is set in Greyhawk. This module needs no conversion apart from turning the kobolds back into their proper form of dogmen. The module is a straight-up dungeon crawl that keeps it simple and concise. No special monsters, and the nearby town is generic enough it can be anywhere. The only requirement is to put it near a swamp, so Darrakin or the Five Shires near Malfegi Swamp is a prime location. Okay, first module done. That was easy. Next up is Forge of Fury, the sequel to Sunless Citadel. It's another low-level dungeon crawl like its predecessor, with orcs occupying an old dwarven fortress. You can keep it in the Shires. The dwarven fortress is left over from the dwarven occupations of the Five Shires. There's a few changes that need to be made. Duergar are just regular rockborn dwarves, though of a less than savory nature. If you don't want Grix in your adventure, look at Rockfangs from the Five Shires, or the Decapus. Similar role, just use a creature that's native to the area. The rest of the module is pretty much just stock monsters. Just assume the Orog are larger orcs than the rest, like black orcs from Thar's Legion. The 3rd adventure in the Yawning Portal is the Hidden Shrine of Tomoachin. Just from the name, you know that this is going to be in the Tiger Clan territory in Etrugan. This is a classic 1st edition module, so older players might already be familiar with it. Read this module a few times before you run it, because if you're like me, your knowledge of the Nahuatl language is a bit rusty. Because this module came around during the golden age of TSR, that's where Mystara was getting its start, there's hardly anything to change. Well, change the were-tiger that represents the were-jaguar into a were-jaguar, since Mystara has that creature. You have thorn slingers, which are almost identical to Mystara's archer bush, so just rename it rather than replace it. There's no Mystaran equivalent of a Coatl or a Gibbering Mouther, but those monsters are integral to the module. The Coatl is a major part of American Indian lore, so that fits right in, and the Gibbering Mouther is weird enough to might as well be Mystaran. So it's some minor tweaks and an easy setting placement, and you're good to go with this one. The 4th module is the classic White Plume Mountain, one of the best modules ever written. It's less of a dungeon crawl and more of a lethal amusement park. The author is Lawrence Schick. He's one of the co-creators of Mystara, and you're going to find this module really easy to fit. It's a bottle dungeon set under a mountain, and since mountains are Mystara's favorite terrain type, it's actually harder to find a nation that this module can't be placed in. But if you want to throw this module on its ear, put it in Irindi as a Safari Island adventure. The characters are tourists, and death isn't permanent in this custom-created dungeon just for them. The module uses mostly giant animals. The only creature that has a Mystaran equivalent is the Kelpie, which can be any one of these shape changers like the Scamille. But the module is pretty short, so there's nothing really to convert. The 5th adventure in the module is Dead in Thay. This is the only module I've ever had players ask me to stop. It's a massive dungeon hard set in the nation of Thay. It was designed as an encounters module, and it shows. The module consists of 108 rooms, and it's pure hack and slash. It was a gimmick module that it was designed to be played by multiple parties at the same time. In the module, the players are dealing with a power struggle in Thay, and Thay doesn't have a good Mystaran equivalent. The module has a very bad reputation for being a total slog. It borders on mega dungeon, and the plot's really not that engaging. Nothing stands out about it. It's a fetch quest with over 100 rooms you have to explore to get the right keys and turn off the bad keys. It takes forever to run. Like I said, it has 108 rooms, which is about triple the size of every other module in this adventure. Because it's a hardwired Forgotten Realms module, and also because it's a bad module, I'm just going to move on to the next module, which is far better. Against the Giants is a mega module that combines all three of the G series, which is one of the most beloved lines from first edition. Because of the fact that the module is old school, almost all the monsters are commonly found in Mystara. I mean, giants are giants. The modules are begging to be placed in the northern reaches because of the cold and mountainous terrain that makes it perfect for all three of the modules. The only two modules that need changing come from the Fire Giant adventure. That's taking out the Drow and the Mind Flayers. For the Mind Flayers, replace them with Brain Collectors, just upgrade the spells to make them more formidable. For the Drow, I'm going to go off on a lark and suggest replacing them with the Schattenalfen, which are the stuff of legend in the northern reaches. Normally, these are only found in the Hollow World. These elves are the servants of Azantiotle. They are utterly evil and depraved, but they don't follow in the typical Drow methods because their plan isn't normally conquest and machinations. Schattenalfen love evil for the love of evil, just like their immortal likes it. Normally, they're not good replacements for Drow, because Drow, no matter how evil they are, don't burst into flames when you expose them to sunlight like vampires. Since Drow are all over the surface of Faerun now, you can't replace them in all the modules with the Schattenalfen. Outside of the northern reaches, the Schattenalfen are never seen, and even in the northern reaches, they're pretty much the stuff of legend. That makes them appropriate for this module because they're never going to be above ground. This brings us to the last module in Yawning Portal, Tomb of Horrors. So there's one way to handle Tomb of Horrors. First, go into the central hallway. Go straight to the chest with the poison needle and the pit directly below it. Follow that hallway, fight the gargoyle, go into the maze of secret doors. Doesn't matter which doors you follow because you're going to come across the door with the buttons. Just push all of them at once and you avoid that trap. When you get to the Hall of Spheres, head straight to the black sphere on the floor, go through the illusionary wall, into the passageway to the next part of the module. Then ignore everything in the room except for the coin slot on the southwest part of the door. Drop a coin in or a magic ring, proceed to the hallway with the doors and the pit trap behind each door. When you get to the third pit trap, drop in it because that's where the secret door to the next area is. Then you follow the passage to the next hallway immediately, casting Detect Magic to find the next secret door. That takes you to the library where you need to smash the middle vase from a distance because of the acid within. Grab the first key half, smash the vase with the gray ooze in it, kill it, get the other half of the key. That gives you the first key. Take the exit to the south. When you get to the pit in the hallway, find and disarm the trap at the bottom of the pit, and then go 60 feet onward to find the secret door on the north side. The next room is trapped because the floor is going to buck randomly. Don't grab the tapestries because they turn into green slime if you tear them. Instead, just run to the northeast corner. Find the secret door behind that tapestry. Get out of the room as fast as possible. Follow the corridor. Watch out for the pit trap at the intersection. Go north to the secret door and watch out for the pit trap right after it. Again, drop into the pit trap. Find the passage at the bottom leading north. This passage takes you to the adamantine door with slots for 3 swords. You put swords in, the door opens up. This brings you to the famous Hall of Pillars with the throne and the crown and the scepter. Don't touch anything. Not the pillars, not the walls, don't do anything. Go straight to the throne. Take the scepter, touch the silver end on the crown impression on the thorn. Leave the crown on the throne alone. Head to the foyer, grab the second key, even though it's got a spell that makes you afraid of it. You're going to have to find somebody with saving throws. Open the southern door with the gold into the scepter. This takes you into the false treasure room. Ignore everything. Find the secret door on the east wall. Go through it and head north. Take that hallway where it curves and take the door on the left. This takes you into the room with the siren that offers 2 magic bags, or you can free it. Take the larger bag. Yeah, she goes away, but small sacrifice to get out of this module. It's a bag of holding and you're going to need it. Go back to the door just south of the passage after the fake treasure room, and that's the actual big bad. He doesn't do anything unless you first touch him or his treasure. Then he pops up and starts sucking souls. Instead of doing that, quickly put the bag of holding around him and then cut the bag of holding. You've beaten the Tomb of Horrors after facing just a gargoyle and a gray ooze. I hate this module. I hate it with a passion. It is a pointless meat grinder with killer traps that provide no clues. The treasure is mostly cursed, like the scepter that you have to leave behind or you're going to be attacked by a greater demon as soon as you leave. The actual treasure at the end is, well, but you never were going to keep those, so the 160,000 gold pieces that those gems were worth were completely worthless because you have to use the gems as ammunition against the demi-lich because those are some of the only things that can hurt him, because nothing the party possesses can hurt him. To actually hurt him, you need spells that are way beyond your level. You need magic items that a party of your level is never going to realistically possess. To kill the thing, you have to think outside the box, but you have to think fast because he's going to eat one party member a turn, no save. And even if you do kill it, all you get is some minor gems and a bunch of magic items where half of them are cursed. The module punishes you even after you somehow beat it. This module was made to kill characters. It is a terrible adventure that should never be played because it sucks all the fun out of the game as it just kills one character after another for making mistakes like walking through the wrong door, touching the wrong part of the crown, or opening a door that offers no clue on the actual key. It exists to kill characters and it does so without warning or mercy. The worst part is this was written by Gary Gygax, who told you in the Dungeon Master's Guide you never kill players with traps without warning. This module ignores that advice more times than I care to count. But since I just spoiled the entire module for you, you don't have to play it. You can actually go play something fun. You're welcome. And now it's time to move on to Ghost of Saltmarsh, the module that should have opened up the Greyhawk setting to the guild like Curse of Straw did with Ravenloft, but apparently Greyhawk wasn't good enough for the guild. Saltmarsh covers a single region of Greyhawk, much like Curse of Straw did with Ravenloft, but nope, no Greyhawk for you. These modules are easy to convert because they are old school modules, so there's a lot of overlap with the monsters and the setting. Plus, one of the adventures was written using the original Beckme rules, so that one is the closest thing Mystara has ever gotten to a new official adventure in 5th edition, or at least a new reprinted one by Wizards. First up is the module that introduces us to this quaint little town, The Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh. First, you need to play Saltmarsh. The book recommends Karamikos and the Blight Swamp, but Athenos and Darrican is right next to Malphagian. That works just as well. Points to Ghost of Saltmarsh for actually including Mystara as a recommendation for every module that actually needed a physical location. Most of the bad guys in this module are just simple human bandits, animals, or some stock D&D monsters like hobgoblins and bugbears. Only when you get to the pirate ship do you need to change the one thing in the module, and that's to turn Oceanus into an Aqua Rindi elf. Instead of a Greyhawk sea elf, he's a Mystara sea elf. There's a few racial differences between the two types of elves that you have to adjust for, but mainly just leave a tub of water in his room so he can breathe. Other than that, module's fine as is. Skip on to Danger at Dunwater, the immediate sequel to Sinister Secret. This module deals a lot with lizardmen, which are of course quite common in Mystara, so no worries there. There's a fair bit of creature substitution for the aquatic races, so grab your copy of the Sea People's Creature Crucible and you'll be completely fine. The Sahagin becomes Sharkkin easily enough. Lokatha, or the aquatic hobgoblins, can be replaced with evil Tritons, though Tritons are pretty much just merfolk with legs. To do this module in Mystara properly, you're going to need the Sea People book, but it's on Drive-Thru RPG now as a PDF. The module's a dungeon crawl, so not much else to convert. Salvage Operation is the third adventure in Saltmarsh, converted from Dungeon 123. It's a module around a shipwreck, and it takes place mostly at sea, so it doesn't need to be set anywhere in particular. This one doesn't need any conversion because all the monsters are just giant spiders and such. It's a quick little side adventure, works well with any nautical campaign, or if you just want to spice up an adventure with a lot of travel time. Isle of the Abbey goes back to Dungeon 34, and it is written entirely using monsters only from Beckme. Needless to say, this one's not going to need conversion. The book suggests placing this in Minereth Head, but it's a small island you can put anywhere you want, even on a large lake if you need it. You've got bandits, undead, some living statues, and that's it for the monsters. It's a short-time killer, or a one-shot if necessary, but if the module doesn't need changing, don't change it. The final enemy is the third and last module in the Saltmarsh trilogy, picking up right where Dunwater left off. You've got lizardmen and merfolk, but you can substitute tritons for merfolk if you want them to have legs, but that's just flavor. The standard replacement I mentioned earlier still applies, so get some Sharkkin ready. After that, it's a straight-up kill-em-all dungeon crawl. There is a bonus for not raising an alarm in this dungeon, but slaughter is a very viable option for the party. For Dungeon 106, you get Tamarot's Fate, another island-based adventure. There's a visit to the village of Uskarn, but it's generic enough to be placed anywhere. Then the party gets the quest and heads off to Firewatch Island, a tiny speck of land where the bad guys are. They will be attacked by a giant Periton, but if you want to switch it out, I suggest taking a Fey Wing, pumping up its stats a bit, and unleashing a 3-headed dragon on them. Once you're on the island, it's a straight-up dungeon crawl. The Chul you'll find are basically magical giant crawdads, so blame that on a wizard for the rest of their powers. The last adventure is the Styes from Dungeon 121, and this one needs a new villain as the Aboleth is replaced in Mystara by a whole host of other similar creatures. The setting of the module is a small, dying coastal city. The perfect location for this is Marilenev in Karamikos. Lady Marilenev has long since abandoned her lands to ruin out of spite for Duke Stefan, so having it devolve into a crime-ridden cesspool that she cares nothing for to rule over makes perfect sense. With a little tweaking, change the Karatoba from Night's Dark Terror to a sentient monster, or at least a more intelligent one. That's your big bad. It's an eldritch horror with unknown powers. The creature has a poison that turns people into the scum in the module before they dissolve into primordial paste. It turns the final fight into a nightmare scenario, as it's a cross between Lovecraftian horror and the reactor scene from Aliens, as the creature attacks from all sides with its numerous tentacles. That's it for the compilation conversions. 18 adventures, reset in Mystara. Well, 16. Dead in Thay is a repetitious slog through Faerun's magical Badlands, and even played in its proper setting, it's just dull. Tomb of Horrors is a terrible module with an undeserved reputation that does nothing but punish the party for wrong choices, while forcing them to make one blind choice after another. Some modules need no conversions at all, like Isle of the Abbey. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Next week I'm looking at Dungeon of the Mad Mage, the 5th edition mega module, which can also be used as a bunch of smaller standalone dungeons. But until next time, remember, I'm not locked in here with my family. My family is locked in here with me.